Thanks, Chairman. Chairman Brian, thank you for coming in, and Vincent and Henry. Tim, I know that you were in Brussels in the last week or two. I see in your document there you talk about to stop imports into the EU. I know that there's 100,000 tonnes imported of beef from the UK. I agree with you on the Mercosur. What was the mood, or did you talk to MEPs, or what support is there to stop in the event of a no-deal Brexit? What support were you getting from, say, the 500 or 600 MEPs that's around there, or the feeling that you were getting in relation to basically stalling that to whether it gives us the opportunity to be able to put more beef into Europe? And state aid rules, I think, at the moment are being relaxed, but they will need to be relaxed more. In the line of the calves, this is to both the, in the line of the calves coming, I know that say next spring, the suck calf, there is, the EU is looking at export of calves at the moment. Would you agree that there's a requirement at Rosslare for a lairage? I know that private individuals in France spent a lot of money last year for more capacity in being able to handle more of the suck calves going out. Would you agree with more infrastructure in the line of lairage at Rosslare? I know that there is more boat journeys, which will be a help, but like you're weather dependent. There's no point in we cotton nurses that we're not weather dependent. On the hoof, do you see an opportunity that more cattle, like we know over the last 6 months, be it the stripper cows, and indeed a lot of bullocks and others were going across the border the last 6 months, it put a lift in the market, to be quite frank about it. Was this buying sort of for storage, I wonder? And do you think that there's a bigger capacity in the event of this doomsday scenario, that more cattle will go on the hoof, that we need to get prepared for that? In the line of sheep, I think there is an opportunity, as Henry has spoke about the sheep sector. Is it your understanding that sheep coming from the north then will pay the tariff in? Is that your understanding, all of you, that the sheep in Southern Ireland will be totally different? We know that there's sheep coming in from the UK, say stag ewes and that coming across, and probably lambs if we knew it, but into the north, say everything that comes south of that in a hard Brexit, is it your understanding? And is that, I was looking at maybe I didn't pick up on it, I saw the beef one and the milk one, is sheep at the same rate as, and maybe I've glasses, but I mightn't have seen it. Is sheep at the same rate as beef, be it on the hoof and be it slaughtered? Thanks.
Just before you answer there, President, I'd just like to expand a bit on Deputy Fitzmaurice's question on the calf exports. Do you think that it's feasible? We've seen reports in the media about flying calves to the destination on the continent. Do you think that's economically practical? And I suppose, you know, it's absolutely critical that we get you know, whatever figure you want to talk about. We need to export a serious amount of these black and white calves every spring to you know, to keep competition in the trade. And I think we see the result of the large number of calves gone 2 years ago in the factory trade at the moment. But I'd just like you to expand on, have you done research into alternative modes of transport if we do run into trouble with the traditional way of getting calves to the continent? Okay, President.
Yeah, thanks, Chairman. I'll take that question first, and I was going to bring it up there anyway. You're right. We have to look at alternatives. And the ferry is important as well. And you know, we want to ensure that continues. But we are looking at alternatives, because if we look at what's happening with the calves, there's a limited market now in the Netherlands for calves. You know, because of what has happened in the food service sector, there's a limited market for veal. So we have to look further afield. And Teagasc actually are going to, they are doing a trial of flying a plane with 900 calves out to Ostend in Belgium. So at least if the calves would get to there, it would be easy enough to distribute those calves right across Europe. But I think what's the advantages of flying, and albeit it will be more expensive, it's almost double the cost, but we could get into newer markets. There is a demand in Spain, particularly for the Frisian, the Frisian bull calves, even the Jersey cross calves. There is a market there as well, and there is a market for calves maybe that will be 12 to 15 weeks old in Spain as well. But I think we need to look, maybe even looking into countries outside the EU as well, trying to find new markets. And I think, again, that's a job that our food market body, Borbia, needs to be doing at the moment. We have made representation to them on that already. Because, Chairman, you're 100% right. We have to look at where we are here now. We have approximately 1.5 million dairy cows in the country. We have 800,000 suckler cows cows in the country. And if we're to keep those calves at home, we're going to have a consistent kill of well in excess of 40,000 a week. And we all know what happens if you're killing more than 40,000 cattle a week. So I think the answer to your question is we are working on that. We want to see calves flying out of this country. And as I say, already Teagasc are doing trial work on that. And to go back to Deputy Fitzmaurice, I think it's very important that whatever has to be done to facilitate calves going through Rosslare is done as well, whether it is lairage. I think it would probably be more important there's enough of lairage at the other side when they get there, because you have to have the resting period. But I get your point. If there's going to be trucks going down to Rosslare and they can't get on a ferry, that is going to prove difficult. And we're seeing in France already there's problems with trucks moving, so that is a concern as well. And maybe we do need a facility there to deal with that. And I think, going back to Brussels, what support I was getting on a ban on beef coming into Europe, and that was part of our submission early on the time as well. We're putting approximately 240 or 50,000 tonnes of beef a year into the UK. And so if the event of a no deal and they decide that they're going to do a deal with South America themselves, well, that's another 240,000 coming in. So our clear position on that is, number one, the current Mercosur deal should be suspended, another 40,000 coming in. Europe can't take that. And in the event of a no deal, I would be asking the EU Commission that they would suspend all beef coming into Europe immediately if there is a no deal. And as regards support in Europe, there was, I would be getting support for that in Europe. And I covered Rosslare. Yeah, I did. The buying of cattle in Southern Ireland going north, again, we would be having serious negotiations with our counterpart in Northern Ireland, and they want that trade to continue after Brexit, because what the Northern Ireland farmers want is they don't want carcass coming into Northern Ireland, because we all know if the meat industry is bringing carcasses in, there's no guarantee that they're coming from Roscommon or from Tipperary. They could be so they are very interested in continuing that trade and expanding it, and I think that is very important. So that's why that trade north-south is going to be critically important going forward. More cattle on the hoof. Well, obviously, I know we did meet ourselves. There was another agent that we met that wants to export more cattle to Libya next year. So, the more cattle we can get out, either calves or on the hoof going to Libya or North Africa, Algeria, wherever. But I think we need to concentrate more on, we have a market just up the road. We need to concentrate and put as much effort as possible into that. And I think what farmers in Northern Ireland want to see is those cattle going up and being processed in their plants. And there's a huge opportunity for our NI cattle to go over to the UK and supply that market, and ROI cattle could supply the domestic market in Northern Ireland. Sheep. So sheep, I mean, we have to just, the 500,000, on the tariff. I haven't the exact amount what the tariff is, but I mean, if the Northern Ireland Protocol is in place, and we sincerely hope it is, well then there will be no tariff with sheep coming from Northern Ireland down south. You know, if the sheep coming obviously from the UK into Northern Ireland, so that's where the SBS checks and all.
There'll be no tariff for our beef going up there.
No.
So why is the sheep one way and the cattle?
No, there'll be no tariff on our beef going to Northern Ireland,
okay.
and there'll be no tariff on sheep coming from Northern Ireland down. So that's why, that's why, in fairness, that's why the Northern Ireland Protocol was negotiated in the first place. We want frictionless trading across that border. We don't want to, we're all clearly saying the last thing we want to see is a border between ROI and Northern Ireland going forward.
Yours coming in from the UK, there will be a tariff on that.
Well, sure, they will. They should be, yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Rowley? Mr. Ruddy? Hello, Vincent? Did you hear? Is he gone? Hello, Vincent? Huh? Yeah. Sorry, Henry, you can. Your partner was looking indicating to speak there, but he seems to have vanished off our screen for some reason. So you might answer the question.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know what happened, Vincent. There, it was there until the last minute. Well, the whole idea of calves, obviously, to try and keep our own market at home relatively stable, we have to move these calves, and I think any alternative that's possible needs to be investigated. Tim was saying the Teagasc are doing work on that. They need to investigate that fully as quickly as possible. I think that's an issue, whether we're sitting here discussing Brexit or anything else. I think it's very important that these calves are moved out of our system, or it's going to put even more pressure on our beef industry, which is returning little enough for our farmers at the moment. The whole area of trade between north and south, as I said earlier, really for me, what we need is clarity on how the Northern Ireland Protocol will actually work. If we have been promised a frictionless border between north and south, well, that's what it needs to be. That lambs need to be able to come from Northern Ireland and be processed and be sold anywhere as Irish lamb, and I mean anywhere in the world. We need clarity on that. What we also need clarity on is the possibility of livestock coming from Britain into Northern Ireland, and what actually happens those animals, because we can't have that as a mechanism to undermine our own industry in Ireland. So we need clarity on how that's going to be done. And the live trade of cattle from south to north, well, everybody knows it has increased substantially in recent times. As to whether that's pre-planning or pre-stocking for the Brexit event, nobody seems to be able to give me very, very clear answers. But from a farming perspective, we need that whatever happens with Brexit, that facility is allowed to continue. As I mentioned earlier, I still would have concerns with our processing industry, which is very active in Britain as well as in Ireland, and that we can't have our primary producers manipulated in such a way that the only people that makes any profit from the beef industry is the processors. And whatever protocols are put in place need to be cognizant of that farmers can't fall foul and be the one in the middle that yet again lose out as the primary producer with no power over the produce that we actually produce. Now, I see Vincent has returned, So if I can maybe hand back to Vincent there.
I'll have to go back to my next question here now.